This podcast is brought to you by Primary Arms. Primary Arms seeks to provide the best shopping experience for everything firearms. With over 13,000 products from over 400 top brands, Primary Arms carries a complete selection of rifles, handguns, firearms parts, shooting gear, apparel, and more. Every order comes with a commitment to superior service, backed by fast shipping and an expert support team. Primary Arms, serving freedom since 2008. Find out more at frn.deal/PA. Hello and welcome to the AR-15 podcast. My name is Nick Dooley, and I am joined as always by my co-host, Garth Ofer.
Hey, buddy, we're a man short, but that's okay. You and I can handle it. We've done it many times before.
I think we can handle it. Yeah, we are a man down, but that is not the end of the world tonight.
No, not tonight. But we're going to run in that Tyler, could have been here. He didn't really give us a good reason. He just said, I can't make it.
Those things do happen. So, what is new with you, bud?
Well, I'm so excited because I finally got my newest and latest AR in and ordered it off Gunbroker there. And I've always wanted an off-the-wall AR, and so I went with a Don't Tread on Me Black Rain, and this gun is solid. It is sweet, and I can't wait to get out and shoot it. But, living in South Dakota, we finally got snow in the end of March, so I haven't had time to go out because it's been cold and snowy, which I'm thankful for because we need the moisture. But I'm looking forward to getting out to the range and sighting that in because we actually have a 3-gun match coming up on the 10th of April, and I would like to run that gun. So,
well, that would be delightful to be there for, but I will miss that.
Yeah, it's I'm a little bummed you're not gonna be there this year because it sounds like it's gonna be me and myself going to these matches since you know how good Paul is about committing. He's probably watching this, chewing me out right now.
Well, that would never happen.
No,
so you said that. So what else have you been up to this week other than getting excited and looking at that? And you have your new purchase there.
I do have a new purchase there.
I saw that. It looks like you have. When you were showing it a little bit ago, was that just a standard 1X blade I see on that?
That was just the standard 1X. I slapped that bad boy on there, and I think that's where that's going to live. I am excited about the 5x coming out this spring, but being that that's going to be my 3-gun competition AR, I don't need anything more than a 1x on there. So that's what I'm going to run on that. And so
I did notice one other thing on there that looks kind of neat.
Oh, do you want to talk about it? I can bring it back up. We can talk about this.
Yes, let's talk about that flash hider on the end of there.
Yeah.
So that 4-pronged flash hider, that is made by our friends over at Occam Defense. And Brian Kenning over there, well, granted, this is the AR podcast. Brian makes a amazing 100% made in America AKs. And they are actually insanely accurate and really good. Well, he started making muzzle devices. And if you notice the grooves cut into the side of that after those prongs come down, that is called the chemo mounting system. And what that is for mounting a dead air style quick attach silencer. So the guy who owns or runs Dead Air used to work for Silencer Co. And he called his, when he first came out, he made all of his products, he called it chemo because he was, quote, fixing the cancer that was the Silencer Co. mounting system. And, it was one of those, I know that I got a couple buddies that had them, and they just continuously had issues with the ratcheting features not working. And they went to that chemo system, and now they've had a lot better luck.
Yeah, I really like the look and design of it, and so I am excited to get out and shoot with it and see how the flash handles on that thing. So,
yep. So he does do that. He does sell some AR parts as well, obviously, such as those flash hiders like that. I know that you can get them in standard threads, like that one I believe was 1/2 by 28.
Yes, it was. Yes.
And you can get them in the goofy, wrong metric 14.1 by left hand.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah. Weird.
well, it's there's two types of countries in the world: ones that use the metric system and ones that have been to the moon. But when we get into those things, so I also have a project that's going to be starting soon. Well, not soon, but that
In the works.
yes, that I've started. I know that some of them have it'll have parts that are back ordered for a while,
Hmm.
so I won't have the access to even the parts for it. But
But you are building a AR of some sort.
it is. This is one of those where we talked about, how far can you depart from an AR and have it still be an AR?
Yep.
This falls into that category.
All right.
So
Ah,
it does take an AR-9 lower receiver, but instead of using a standard Glock lower receiver, I opted to go with a. Actually, I didn't go with this one. A New Frontier Armory S5 lower. Now, if I would find that. Oh, there we go. Now, the S5 lower is unique because instead of taking standard Glock mags, this one takes CZ Scorpion mags.
you're going a little expensive because those CZ Scorpion mags can get a little spendy.
They it's not that they can get overly expensive. I you can pick up the Magpul ones for the same price as a 30 round Glock mag. So if you're looking at the same thing, Manticore Arms makes them. As I'm not going to be buying the CZ branded, but you know, probably most running Magpul and the Manticore,
Hmm.
because Manticore does have metal feed lips, whereas I know the other ones are all polymer.
Yeah.
But be be running those, and then that will be topped with a rather interesting upper. So I'll do another screen share
Absolutely. We just want to
for
see the entire build.
for the people that are watching, and for the people that are not. It I'll be using something from a company called Matador Arms, and it's their Montgo 9. So as I flip through some of the pictures here, this is kind of an interesting
Oh
upper
wow.
because it is 100% self-contained. So it does not need a buffer to run because it has the buffer built in to the upper itself.
Yeah.
Now this is going to be a pistol because it is only an 8-inch gun or an 8-inch barrel. Uh, you can flip the charging handle from to either side, so it is
But
ambi
it's
friendly.
but it's side charging.
Yes, it is a side charging upper that you can run the charging handle on either side, and it will be a neat little setup that is a little bit of a departure from the standard.
Yeah, that definitely is on the edge of not being an AR, but still. I mean, I think the lower is what saves you on this build.
Well, it does take AR furniture and fire control groups. So I right now I have plans. I ordered a binary trigger from Franklin Armory, and so we'll be running a binary in that. But the cool thing about it is, much like an AR-180,
Hmm.
since it doesn't need a buffer tube, the brace I put on that is probably, or well, isn't probably. I've already, with the parts kits I've ordered and parts I've ordered for it, it's just going to be a pick rail section on the back where the buffer tube would normally go.
Mm.
And I will put a side folding brace. I might even get one of those SB triangle braces to throw on.
Yeah. And so then, what kind of optic do you have planned for this as well? I mean, I'm sure you've thought of that or not.
Oh, it's probably just going to have a pretty generic red dot. I think I have a spare Swamp Fox Liberator at home.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I have a few of those lying around too. Spare swamp foxes. I don't know what to put that on. Oh, that looks good. Oh, look,
Yeah,
a D10 spray. You better build another AR.
yeah. No, I'm pretty sure I have a spare red dot laying around the house, so that is what will go on that. And I was having a conversation the other day with the talk about Glock mags versus like curved mags, specifically
Mm,
for PCCs, and we were discussing the merits of them.
yeah.
And so I personally really love the aesthetics and like how it looks to have the curved magazine.
I wasn't there until you had this conversation with me about 2 weeks ago. And you got me thinking, man, I do, especially after running my SIG MPX, I really like the look of the curved design of the magazine rather than that 33 round stick just sticking straight out. Does it mean I'm going to get rid of my Ruger Charger? No, not by any means. But yeah, I can see what you mean when it's just a little bit more appealing to the eye.
Well, the other thing that's kind of interesting as to how those work is when you get into the AR-9s, a lot of them have to have it's almost like a forcing cone on the
Yeah.
barrel. So also I have the parts for an Arrow EPC at home, so I've been reading about all of the issues and things inherent with some of those. And a lot of people were saying there's certain barrels to get and ones to not, and they have a deeper bevel for like a feeding ramp that's actually included into the barrel
Hmm.
that's machined into it because of so the Glock magazines that everyone uses in PCCs right now were made to fire in a Glock handgun.
Yeah.
So because of that and how the angle is, they have to have the right feed angle to get everything pushed in. Well, because of how they latch and how everything works for geometry, it has a steep angle of attack as that round enters the barrel. So they will have to push everything down, specifically on the ARs. Now, Ruger Charger is a little bit different because it was designed to be fed from those types of magazines.
Mm.
But when you're looking at the all of the AR platform was designed to be fed off of a true double stack magazine that feeds off of each side.
Hmm.
You don't have some of the issues inherent with having that round pointing as far up of an angle.
Yeah.
And that's why, like MP5s were set up kind of the same way. CZ Scorpion mags are that way. MPX mags are that way. It's it's a little odd to go back to some of those, but you know, we'll definitely keep you updated and see how all these parts fit together for a gun that was never meant to be.
Actually, what would look really good on this build of yours?
What's that?
A VZ grip. VZ grips, guys. Go check them out. They are a sponsor of the show. And actually, I want to throw a shout out to all you listeners out there because I don't know if it's you guys or what. I know there's a couple other shows on the Firearms Radio Network that are sponsors as well. But VZ Grips is actually sold out of their AR style hand grips right now. They say due to extreme demand of materials, they've temporarily removed all rifle grips and rail covers from our website. So you guys are doing a phenomenal job. We want to thank you guys, the listeners, for checking them out. I know they have phenomenal grips. I have one myself. I put it on my duty rifle, which I think is, can I say duty rifle? I mean, I'm not a cop, but it sounds better than pickup gun at this point. So I've thrown it on mine, and it's fantastic. I love that when I grab that gun, I know I have it in my hand. It's secure. It's not going anywhere. So really just appreciate you guys as listeners going and checking them out because they do help our show. So we really do appreciate that.
Yeah, but the unique features of the AR grips, they're machined from a solid block of G10. G10 is great because it is so durable, it doesn't get slippery when covered in mud, blood, or sweat. 17-degree grip angle and wide variety of textures from mild to extreme, and color options are available. Now, normally we'd say there's shorty versions available, but right now there aren't any available.
They're not.
So you have to just go back to, their pistol grips, like 1911 grips that are extremely customizable with standard slim palm swells, thumb notches, safety cuts, and bottom profiles. More than 25 textures and 27 colors are available. They make them for a variety of handguns, to include my beloved Berettas. And with this coupon code that you can have, all coupon codes are good for 15% off handgun and grips or rifle grips. And that is with AR-15 podcast. So that is coupon code AR-15 podcast, all one letter or all one word, and you can get 15% off.
You bet.
Yep. So we can answer this question quick.
Sure can.
So one of the former hosts had a fetish for 357 SIG. What do you think about it for feeding, since it's a bottleneck like a 5.56 round? So 357 SIG is an interesting round. It is one of those very niche rounds, and I personally like this 357 SIG. I love it on paper. It was one of those, like, I should just have a barrel for one of these laying around, because what it was the easiest way to explain it is a 40 caliber case neck down to a 9mm bullet. And so it was a bottleneck cartridge, and it had a bigger diameter, case than, 9, because it was built off of a 40 or 10mm, however you want to put it. And on paper, man, that thing sounded good. And performance-wise, it really did a lot of good things. It had velocities and energies that were comparable to 357 mag. And there were several law enforcement agencies, both federal and some local and state, that went to it. And then it kind of just died off.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of them. Actually, I know one law enforcement officer that does run 357 SIG. He's actually from my hometown, and he is the only one that I can think of that I know that runs it. And he swears by it. He loves it to death, but it's just not a very popular round anymore.
Well, part of it was it cost more to manufacture than standard pistol ammunition did, because of producing that bottleneck cartridge. I really liked it. I think I might have a barrel for an M&P laying around somewhere. One of those, when I went on a random parts buying, things, as you've mentioned before, you probably find one somewhere in my basement.
Probably.
We'd
have to do some digging. There's some reorganization going on right now, and I don't know when you get home that you'll be happy about it.
I can only imagine.
Oh, I'm going to get yelled at for that.
But so that should work. As far as making it into a PCC, it still comes down to how that feed angle is. I know Just Right Carbines makes one. You don't see a lot of barrels made in it, but there are a few out there, mainly because 9 is a far more popular round.
I wouldn't be opposed to it, but like you said, it's such an expensive round that, but the other day, just walking through stores, I've seen 45, PCC. I've seen 40 PCC out there. They're out there. 40, just 9mm is kind of the way to go. It just seems like the most popular round, so they're going to have the most out there.
Yep, it is. It's the most popular handgun round in the world, and it's not going anywhere.
Well, that's good to hear. Because otherwise, I'm gonna have to start hitting people with my assault tees. I don't want to do that.
Fair enough. Well, so since we already talked about that, and we said that getting barrels was
what about barrels?
Barrels. Well, this episode's going to be a barrel of fun.
Oh, he's got jokes. Those are dad jokes.
Yeah. So let's talk barrels. We've mentioned before that, hey, we should really do an episode on just barrels.
We should.
And there is a lot of information about what would be considered the heart of a rifle.
Yeah.
Is the barrel, and this is one of those things where you can completely nerd out and go down a really weird rabbit hole, or you can be like, all right, I have the information I need, and this is what I need with it, or you can do what I do and like learn about how we did it since the 1800s.
Well, here's my thing. I buy manufactured guns. So I just trust the manufacturer is going to put a decent enough barrel on there that I don't have to do all the research. Now, a guy like you who enjoys putting every gun you've ever had together from scratch, you might want to know a little bit more information. So I guess where do you want to start? You want to start about just what their materials they're made out of?
Yeah, that would be a great place to start.
Okay.
So when we get started, I will tell everyone there is a great video on this as well from Classic Firearms. If you wanted to watch this, that they released it this week after we'd already decided to talk about barrels. So we're not trying to copy them, but they also have a great visual, and it's a little bit shorter than an hour-long podcast, but a solid video with a lot of good information out there. But when we get into that, I'll post a link to that in our show notes for the week. But so barrels are made out of steel. Like, you don't see barrels that are made out of aluminum because aluminum doesn't do well with a lot of the things we're going to be talking about, specifically pressure and heat.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not spell good things for aluminum. And even some of the fancier ones that are like, carbon fiber barrels, those are still just a steel barrel.
Yeah, I mean, they're just carbon wrapped.
Huh.
Yeah, I saw that too. It's very interesting.
That's okay. We're going to do this. And,
sorry about that. We had a minor inconvenience.
Yes, we had an issue with someone who wanted to be blocked.
Yep.
And they were. So anyways, back to talking about barrels when we get into what kind of steels there are. The standard, and we'll go back and we'll have to talk about some things like mil spec and stuff like that. There's stuff you'll see, and the one you'll see most common is 4150. So I know that a while back I had one of the listeners send a message in, and he asked me a question about chrome. It was like, you don't like chrome lined barrels, as I have said. And he was like, these are chrome barrels. Now, there is differences of this between chrome lined and chromoly. So you will see barrels that are marked as chromoly steel, and that would be a 4150 CMV barrel, sometimes marked as 41V50, which is chromoly vanadium, and that has to do with a hardness that it goes through in a very specific metallurgical compound, and it has molybdenum steel that is in it, so it would be 50% carbon, 40% or 1% chrome, 40% of the molybdenum steel that has the vanadium mixed in with it as well. And that has to do with the hardness of it. So that is a hard steel that is, you can machine it and everything like that. It's, you can run it on a lathe, but that has your best life and is considered the best steel for a standard steel barrel. Now, standard 4150 steel is what you would see on things. It is still harder, but it doesn't have the vanadium in it. So if it doesn't have CMV or 41V50 marked on it, this is going to be a better steel than others, but still not mil spec. It's when they started doing this, they went, "Oh, what steel does the military use for their barrels?" And somebody looked and went 4150, and they said, "Okay," and they just ordered a pile of 4150s, barrels, and they didn't order it with the chromoly vadnium.
So then the standard civilian barrel, is that to military standards or is that not?
Most would be like, especially if you're buying from a reputable barrel manufacturer, like Ballistic Advantage. I think all of theirs are 4150 or 41V50 or stainless or something like that.
Okay.
Roscoe's the same way. Faxon's the same way. I'm not sure of anyone who's making them out of 4140 steel. 4140 is a soft steel. It is not the best. I would not recommend that. That would be the lowest tier steel I would use on a barrel.
But they are out there on certain manufacturers.
It was especially on older ones. So while I furiously Google here, I will just do one of these and look at Ballistic Advantage quick and see what it is their website lists as what they use for their barrel manufacturing. Because as you go through and look at that, it's okay. We have the different varieties of barrels and what they're made out of. So
As we both fervently Google.
Yep. Now these are all listed as 4150 chrome. So 4150 chromoly, and that is what the material of the steel is. Now that is different than chrome lined. So chrome lining was originally done to add hardness inside of the barrels. And a chrome lined barrel was one for corrosion resistance when they still used a lot of things like you'll still see most all the European AK barrels and stuff like that will all have a chrome lining in it. Machine gun barrels are almost all chrome lined, but that has to do with high heat and being in corrosive environments. Because when you get into this, like we'll talk about stainless barrels in just a little bit, corrosion resistance is a big deal as well. So when we talk about corrosion, obviously we're talking about rust.
Yeah.
So just like a car bumper, if you chrome it, it doesn't rust as fast. It still can, but then it also adds some hardness to it as well. So you would see chrome lined barrels that would be used for things like machine guns and stuff like that. So the original or the original M16 barrels were not chrome lined. They were just a standard. There was a whole bunch of things that were really weird on the original straight M16s, and it was like even into the rifle twist.
Mm-hmm.
And they went through and they said, okay, we're going to do this. And then when they went to field them, they chrome lined them, and they started the chrome lining on the barrel extension to stop what is called galvanic erosion. And that is because when water gets in between two different types of metal, it will create corrosion. And specifically, like aluminum and steel don't play good when there's water running between them. And, it's kind of what an AR is. So they use the chrome lining on the barrel extensions to stop that from happening. And as that is a rabbit hole we don't need to dive into right now, we'll go back to talking about materials barrels are made out of.
Okay.
So we talked about the basic steels, and then stainless steels. Stainless steels don't need finish as much, but still can rust. 416 has a higher sulfur content, and that has been known to fail at lower temps, like when it starts to get below freezing. Just a straight 416 stainless steel will start to have issues because of that temperature as it goes through and heats up and cools down. It will cause issues and its hardness will lapse. So 416R has that molybdenum and performs better, but it's still just as easy as the softer steel of 40 or 416 to machine. And probably the best that you will ever see is 17-4-PH. That is for participant hardening. And that has some weird little pores and things in it that make it super, super strong, but it costs 3 to 5 times as much and would be a terrible machine gun barrel. So, again, if you're looking for them, you would want to have 416R, 4150 chromoly. Those are the two barrels that you need to be on the lookout for what you're having made. Like if you're looking at buying them.
Okay, I was just gonna say, are those the standard mil spec?
The 4150 chromolys are.
Okay.
And stainless steel, they don't really run stainless barrels. Now, there are also 2 different types of finishes that you'll see on standard barrels. And that is a parkerizing or a nitriding. And you'll even see nitrided on like pistol slides and pistol barrels and things of that nature. Like nitride has become one of those big advertising words that people use.
Mm-hmm.
And nitride is a chemical bonding that goes to the molecular level that actually helps harden the steel and stuff like that. It's after you've gone through the complete machining process and rifling and everything like that, then you would do one of these coatings.
Okay.
So that actually helps make things harder, but it protects the finish and stops it from corroding. So I prefer a nitrided barrel that has the nitride, in the bore and everything like that, versus a parkerized barrel, which is a very similar process, but they use a phosphate instead of a nitrate to put the corrosion protection on. And personally, I would rather have the nitrided because it is stronger and lasts longer. And it just is a little bit better than the old parkerizing, because I have seen parkerizing that just, well, if you want to know how good parkerizing is, it's what Freedom Group went to on their last generation of all the Remington stuff that would rust on the shelf.
Oh, fair enough. And I suppose there's not a significant price point difference, but there obviously would be.
There really isn't.
Okay.
Price point difference between them. There isn't a lot. It just had to do with like where the technologies went and everything like that. You can find them for comparable prices. I would recommend a nitrite coating. That's just me.
Fair enough.
We'll touch a little bit on carbon fiber barrels. I know that Proof is like the big one. Carbon Concepts. There's a handful of other the carbon fiber barrels. Most of the time when you see these, they're going to be extremely expensive.
All right, explain this to me then, because they always say carbon fiber barrels are so much lighter. Is that because it's completely wrapped and then they just have the barrel tube itself with a different material, or how does this whole operation work? I see your wheels turning.
So what it is they have a very thin metal barrel.
Okay.
So like if you look at a picture of a Proof barrel or a Carbon Research or any of them, it has a metal barrel extension,
mm-hmm.
and then it has like metal threads, and it's metal on both ends, and then it's all carbon fiber in between.
Yeah.
So they will go through, and I don't know exactly. So they'll make it like a 1/4 inch thick in the middle of what the barrel is. So think of it like a sleeve, or like how thick a shotgun barrel is.
Yeah.
And then they will attach carbon fiber to that all the way to make the profile. whatever it is that they want it to be with the carbon fiber. So they do this to add rigidity and lose weight. And then they also do that to, so they added the rigidity and weight control. The other thing it does is heat mitigation. So carbon fiber does a really good job of like not having the heat go out and create that mirage. It's really good at heat dispersion.
Sure.
So again, you will see it occasionally on some like high end custom ARs, but it is more often than not like long range precision rifles that people are carrying great distances.
Okay. Fair enough. Good answer. All right. I'm satisfied.
Yep. So other things to look at when you're looking at a barrel for your AR is twist rate.
Now, all right, I know there's more than one twist rate. What do we got? 1 to 6, 1 to 7. Is there a 1 to 12 out there?
There is. So 1 to 12 is what the original M16 had for a twist rate.
Okay.
So if you don't know what a twist rate is,
I have no idea.
So the rifling in your barrel, which are the grooves inside.
Correct.
Which actually we can talk about rifling quick as well. So there's generally a handful of ways to do rifling. There's 3 major ways that you'll see in the US, and that is button rifled, and that is the cheapest and fastest way to do it. And what that is think of it like button rifling is exactly what it is. Think of it like a big drill bit that has just a knob on each side. It's the same depth as the bore. And then you push it through and have the rotate, and it rotates. And then where those knobs are, it just shoves its way through. And that's what pushes the rifling into the bore. And then it shoves it out the other end of the barrel. And then cut rifling. Cut rifling is like the oldest way of making rifling.
Mm-hmm.
And it runs down the same way, but it takes and cuts just a little bit out at a time. And then it'll pull back and they'll expand it out. And they're just taking like tenths of thousands at a time. And they run it down and they'll pull it back and they'll run it down. And they just keep this process up until they get the lands and grooves as deep as they want them to be, or the rifling cut as deep as they want it to be in the barrel. And it'll take more times. And this is generally considered, like it could be the most accurate because it is cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Button rifling can have some burrs and things left in, which is why on a lot of rifles, you would see things like, oh, you need to have X amount of break-in rounds before you can really count it for accuracy.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to shoot whatever trash was left over from machining out of the rifling. So having that stuff that was there left over from the button rifling process would be how they would, have you shoot it out.
Okay.
Now, the last one is cold hammer forging. So cold hammer forging, they have these giant like pneumatic or hydraulic hammers that go all the way around the barrel and completely enclose it. Like, 3 or 4 of them, on each, so it goes all the way around. And then that would have a mandrel inside of it. So think of like a super hardened steel or tungsten rod that has been cut to look like you're rifling, but it's an inside out barrel.
Okay.
And they would have the bore a little bit bigger than what the bore of the rifle actually is. So then they would lay this rod inside that bore, push it in. And then these hammers would go to work and just beat the ever-living piss out of that barrel and form it down. And cold hammer forging, would forge it to be that smaller piece. And then when they were done, you would screw that mandrel out after the barrel was completed.
Interesting.
So it'd be like forming a piece of clay around a drill bit.
Yeah, that's really neat. I would actually this has intrigued me to figure out how the Old West style guns did this stuff because
They use cut rifling.
Okay, did they? Okay.
Yep, it was
very cool.
They'd actually have like rope jigs where they would run a rope back and forth and like have a pulley system to pull these through, and then they would dial it out a little bit, and then they would just keep pushing it back and forth through. Like, since that was how we first learned how to do rifling.
That's neat. That's a very cool concept.
Yep. So then you get into twist rates.
Okay. Yeah.
So twist rates. If you didn't know, when you see the numbers, you'll see like 1 in 7 and 1 in 9 are probably the two most common for ARs.
Okay.
I run a lot of 1 in 8s. I have some 1 in 7s. But what that means is it makes one complete rotation in 7 inches for a 1 in 7 barrel.
Okay.
So it's one rotation per 7 inches or one rotation per 9 inches. Like a lot of 308s are 1 in 10 or 1 in 11.
So they're getting like a rotation and a half out the barrel.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's all right. That's all I really need.
Like a lot of pistols are even higher than that. They don't even get one full rotation.
Yeah.
As the pistol.
Just enough to start it and then send it on its way.
So, yeah, that's another reason why why I am a large proponent of, if you're going to build an AR pistol, build it at least 10 inches.
So you can always get us happy one spin. Yeah.
But so bullet weight, barrel twist has a lot to do with what bullet weight you're planning on shooting.
Okay.
So
let's just take the standard 55 grain in an AR.
55 grain is like the sweet spot.
Okay, yeah.
So you can run it with a lot of things. You can run it in an old bolt rifle that's got a, like 1 in 12.
Mm-hmm.
Or like it's the 1 in 7 and the 1 in 9 both shoot 55 grain well. I'm furiously Googling a Venn diagram so I can show
you. Do that because now I got to see what this says, if anything. I can't see the handguards in the way. That's it.
But so all right. Now I'm going to pull this picture up and show you so I can explain it. Please. And having again, this goes into all kinds of different but 55 grain is the most common for a reason, and I will show you that here.
Okay.
Because, well, I understand this is a audio podcast. For the people not watching, I will try and explain it.
Oh, yeah.
So 1 in 12 twist was what they originally used. And a 1 in 12 twist is good with lighter weight bullets. So your 40, 55, 30 grains, etc.
Mm-hmm.
are really good with a 1 in 12 twist. Your 1 in 9 twist does better with those. So like my first one, I was like, oh, I'm going to shoot some prairie dogs and stuff like that. So I went with a 1 in 9 twist. So 62 grain is starting to get like on the high and hot end of that. And 1 in 7 twist does good with 55 grain, does better with 62 grain, and is really good with 77 grain and higher and a lot of those heavier bullets. So you'll also have seen a lot of people go to like a 1 in 8, trying to combine the best of both worlds between the 1 in 9 and the 1 in 7. But 55 grain is like the magic sauce for 223 or 5.56 because it works well in about every twist.
Now I'm just checking out my rifles to see what they have.
Yeah. So most of yours are going to be either 1 and 7 or 1 and 9. Um, I don't remember exactly which ones it is you have, but they
Oh, 1 and 8 on all my MPRs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Because I was gonna say I couldn't remember what it is you have now.
I mostly run MPRs.
Yep. But 1 and 8 is a super solid, twist. That's what I order most of my barrels in if I can,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just one of those. Yep, this works. Now, since we touched on rifling and twist rates, and I have Garth not quite thoroughly confused.
No, not yet. I mean, we're gonna have to bring someone on. Yeah, you've squirreled a few times, and I'm just going. But it's good. See, this is things I don't have to worry about. I buy manufactured ARs. I just trust the companies know what they're doing enough for me to go, yeah, all right, I'll buy your stuff. But in this day and age, I mean, putting your next rifle together might be the option in the future here. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So save the prey dogs. Get out of here.
Yep. So when you're sitting there saying that with the, you buy a lot of factory made rifles.
I do. Yes.
And there is nothing wrong with that at all. And it is well documented that I build a lot of rifles.
That is correct.
And I build a lot of rifles for other people. And it's so I look at a lot of these things and I'm like, okay, yep. And I know that you guys have asked me before, and I have started to vomit information, and you go, yeah, whatever, just tell me which one to buy.
That's happened before, yeah.
So the last thing that I really think we need to touch on for barrels,
mm-hmm.
and this is going to cause me to rabbit or to squirrel a little bit.
Well, I mean, it depends on what it is. Let's go.
Gas system length.
Oh, okay. All right. Actually, no. I know a lot of guys who want to talk gas system length because it's a big part of the gun, a huge part. So yeah, let's squirrel down a rabbit hole here.
Well, the only reason why I say that is there's reasons, obviously there's reasons for things, but
things for reasons.
But so there are 4 common gas systems.
Okay.
Now, like Wilson Combat does a couple of their own. And there's some other manufacturers like, oh, we have our own, and they made it their own like goofy system.
And now you're saying these are the 4 like standard. They don't move, or
these are the 4 standard.
Okay.
So a rifle length gas system, the gas port is 12 inches from the chamber.
Okay.
A mid-length gas system is 9 inches from the chamber. A carbine system is 7 inches from the chamber, and a pistol length is 4.
Okay.
Now, why are there 4 of them? Right?
I mean, there are 4 different types you just listed off. So, I mean, that'd be the obvious answer, but honestly, I don't know. So,
rifle length gas system goes back to the original, like, old school M16, AR-15, that 20-inch, barrel battle rifle, or that intermediate cartridge battle rifle, 20-inch long, and it had a 12-inch, and it was because they did the math, and this is where everything works best. And then they went, all right, well, we're going to run a shorter barrel. And that was when they started doing like the CAR-15, and I think it's like the XM155 and some of those other odd when they started to shorten up the barrels, like getting into the M4 length.
Okay.
They, for a short time, and I know that Brownells makes a copy of it. PSA makes a copy of it. They made a rifle called the Dissipator.
Okay.
And what the Dissipator was a rifle length system on a 16-inch barrel. And when most companies make a Dissipator, I know that PSA is one of them that does this. They will put a pinned front sight post on the front of the barrel, and they will run a carbine length gas system.
Okay.
Because there is what is called dwell time when you fire a rifle. So the dwell time has to do with when the round is ignited till the time it comes out the end of the barrel. And
which is fractions, but
yep, it's fractions, but when you change the length of the barrel, it changes how much gas is coming out.
Okay.
So for a long time, like this is one of those, if you wanted to do the trade-offs, a lot of like pro 3-gunners, and when you would buy the super expensive 3-gun rifles, they would have an 18-inch barrel with a rifle length gas system.
Yeah.
Because it was a shorter barrel, and that was how to make it shoot the softest. With like an A2 birdcage flash hider, that was how to get the lowest recoil impulse out of the barrel for the gas coming back and working direct impingement as it should.
Okay.
So mid-length came about later when they went, oh, hey, we can change this, and 9 inches works just as good, if not better, than 7. So a lot of rifles switch to running a mid-length gas system because it's midway between a rifle and carbine length. That's where, like a 16-inch gun is perfect for that. Now, on a 14.5-inch, you will see carbine length. Because a 14.5-inch, which is what like a Daniel Defense Mark 18 or a real M4 has a 14.5-inch barrel, then it has a flash hider. They would run a 7-inch system on that just to have that little bit of extra dwell time to have all the gases do their job. So it has more pressure to move that bolt carrier group back and forth.
Okay.
I run like on a 10.5-inch gun, I will still run a carbine length gas system. Then when you get into pistols, I have a 16-inch gun that has a pistol length gas system on it as well, but that is a 300 blackout, and you have to run it for cycling subsonic rounds.
Okay.
It has to have that extra pressure right off the chamber in order to cycle everything. So the reason for these changes, and like specifically in barrels and stuff like that, aside from the 300 blackout needing it to run with the short, has to do with how much pressure comes out of the case. So you want to have enough pressure, gas pressure that is, to move the action. So there's 2 ways to do that, and that's either move it closer to or further away from the action, or to drill a bigger hole, which is how you would make a lot of the dissipators run, was you would oversize the gas port hole. I have never done that with a hand drill.
All right, then explain adjustable gas blocks to me.
So adjustable gas blocks are for fine tuning. There are a handful of variety. There's ones that are, I'll call them infinitely adjustable, and that's where you tweak and go in, and it'll have a screw that adjusts how much gas you're letting in and out as you push the screw in, and then it'll have a locking screw on the outside.
Are those more for like precision shooters then?
Well, yes, but also no.
Okay.
So adjustable gas blocks are for people who want to get real precise with like their recoil management and stuff like that. You would see guys who would put them on competition rifles.
Okay.
And do things like that to make them recoil less, or to optimize how much gas you're using. A lot of people will do it on suppressed guns.
Okay.
Now, Running the infinitely adjustable ones is great because you can generally find a setting that will make it work for everything.
Mm-hmm.
You will also find some, I know that, a lot of them will have like a 3 or 4 click adjust, or it just has 4 positions. It'll have like wide open, and then it'll have a 3/4, a half, and an off. And it's one of those like, or they'll call them something else. I know the Scar has 3 or 4.
Okay.
If you look at your Scar, it'll have like normal functioning, suppressed, off, and then one other one for different type of conditions. And that has to do with pushing. Sometimes they will run them so you can actually overgas them if you're running in bad environments. So one of the things that about an AK, and part of the reason why AKs have always been told they're so reliable,
Yeah.
they are almost all, I say almost because there's a couple that aren't, but overgassed from the factory. Like when they made them, they were designed to be overgassed. That's why an AK gas tube has like gas bleed out ports on it for that excess gas to blow out in front and really give optics a hard time on a Multimac rail. But no, it's because they were designed to be ran over gassed, so that will go back. It's also why a lot of manufacturers will put a non-adjustable gas block, and specifically some barrel manufacturers will run a larger than necessary gas port in their barrel for whatever length it is, because especially with a manufactured rifle like the ones you love to buy, they will overgas them than what they need, because when they're running, if you're running Black Hills, precision match ammo,
yeah,
okay, that's great. And then when you load your next mag up with steel case Wolf, it has to be able to run with whatever you throw in it.
Sure.
So you overgas it to do those things.
Okay, well, that's good to know because I do that.
I know.
Thanks. No, that's actually, I didn't know that about the Scar, so thank you. I'm going to have to dig into that. I bought it for the cool wow factor. I don't know the first damn thing about it, so.
I mean, neither do I.
Well, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out before Craig comes out to the range.
Yeah, no, this is pretty easy, or not easy. There's a lot of information, and I know that in the last half hour I have vomited a lot of information, and I don't think I've rabbit holed too bad.
No. I mean, you've been pretty good.
Do you have anything else you want to add or ask about barrels before we?
I don't have anything more tonight, but I definitely want to continue this topic because I think we just scratched the surface of barrels.
Speaking of scratching,
yes,
there is one more thing I should talk about.
Scratch away.
Crowns.
Okay.
So a crown is one of the most important part of a barrel. So the crown, if you don't know what that is or haven't heard that term before, is the very tip of the muzzle. So where the bullet comes out, there's a crown. And you used to always see like, oh, does it have a target to ground, an 11-degree target crown, and it would have all these other things. And that is still important, even with a threaded barrel. So as it comes out, the reason why crowns are so important is we've been talking a lot about gas and how it moves, the bolt and everything like that, and things being overgassed or undergassed, etc. But when that gas comes out, obviously it has the little explosion. That's where the flash comes. That's why there's a flash hider, and things of that nature, because it makes it so flash hider isn't designed to make it so people can't see where you're at, but it's to dissipate that flash as fast as they can so that you can see better, or see faster. Now, the crown on the end of it, what it does is as that bullet comes out the very end, it still can be affected by those gases coming out. So you want it to make, for lack of a better term, like the best little pillow to send it off.
Okay.
So it's one of those like, poof, go away, little buddy. And it's you
Be
want it.
free.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly. Just like that, where that comes out.
Yeah.
So having that little cushion to go out is very important. And that is why the crown of a rifle has long been talked about so importantly. Because if you had one that was cut at a bad angle or something like that, it could affect accuracy in a greatly. Now that, do you know what the world's greatest target crown is?
No.
It's a silencer.
Fair enough.
Because it controls the expansion of those gases and allows that bullet to escape while it still has that coming behind. It creates that perfect little pouch behind it. It goes like, okay, be free, little friend. And then it just kind of gently sends it off.
Well, it's a good thing I have a few of those then.
Yep. And we're not going to talk about free bore boost and things like that right now.
Fair enough.
So, Garth, do you have anything else that you want to talk about here before we get off the air tonight?
No, like I said, man, this I think we scratched the surface, and I feel like in the future we should have a barrel manufacturer come on and really nerd out, and you guys can talk, and I will just sit back and go, yes, that's of course. Who didn't know that? So it'll be fun.
Yep. I do think there is one other thing that we have to do, though.
I think there is too, and we should probably talk about Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co.
That is right. Jake and the guys over at Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co. If you haven't seen or heard of Patriot Patch Company, one, I don't know what you're doing with your life. And two, you really need to go over there and check them out. That's where you have all of your patch needs and like brow patches, stickers, awesome tin signs.
T-shirts, mouse pads, cleaning bats, I think is what they're actually for. But I use it as a mouse pad. You know it too. I actually really need to get my my patch wallet behind me. So hopefully I'll make that happen here in the next few weeks. When I find some time. But yeah, definitely go check out Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co, guys. They do good work.
Now, have we talked about our ammo affiliate yet?
I think we've mentioned it once or twice. But we should probably talk about it again because True Shot does some amazing stuff. They have an amazing membership if you sign up for it, where if you buy the membership, which is, I believe, $99 for a year.
Yep, it's $100 a year.
Yes. If you buy the membership, shipping will be free after your second use because basically, you pay it twice, shipping's.
So if you buy the membership,
yeah,
it comes with free shipping for the year.
That's correct. That's what I'm trying to say.
And if you purchase ammo a lot, or even a little,
I mean, define a little because I think 4 times a year is a little.
Yeah, 4 times a year. So let's say you buy 4,000. Well, maybe not 4,000 rounds a year because I say that, and some people will look at me and be like, "You shoot 4,000 rounds a year."
I ordered that last month alone.
But no, it's generally after about 2 uses. So I got on there a couple weeks ago and I was looking, and I bought some more 9mm, and they had 6.5 Creedmoor in stock, and I needed some of that, so I just added that in and shipped that off. I picked up some more 223 and 9 the other day, and again, free shipping. So while they might not always be the cheapest that you can find on something like AmmoSeek, when you take $40 or $50 off the top for that shipping cost, it really kind of
realistically, I think they are though, because just looking on AmmoSeek the other day and then comparing them to True Shot, I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for steel case, I know they can compete with anything on AmmoSeek. They have outstanding. They have great sales right now. 223 Wolf for $395 for 1,000 rounds. That's fantastic, especially with what's going on in the world right now and where we get our steel case ammunition from. Brass might be a little bit more. I'm just excited because I'm getting a refund from a company that rhymes with Freedom Depot. And when I say rhymes with, it is because those guys are a-holes. Sorry if you like them, but they screwed me out of 1,000 rounds. And so I will be purchasing all my future sales from True Shot. And guys, like I said, the membership alone is worth it. I know we have a friend who actually was complaining to us that we should have been affiliated with them sooner because it would have saved him a lot of money.
Yep. So again, check out True Shot. Click through our link or go to the show notes and click through our link to go to them and check out the rest of our affiliates. Palmetto State Armory, we all buy parts from them. You guys might as well too. And when you do, click through our link.
Absolutely. Facts and Firearms, My Medic Supplies. Who else do we have?
My Medic. Like, right now, we've all seen what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
Like, we did a whole episode about things happening in the Ukraine.
We did.
And if you don't have a solid, like, IFAK or first aid kit that has more than just a couple Band-Aids and Benadryl, do yourself a favor and pick one up, because you never know when bad things can happen, and you should be prepared.
It's good to be prepared on all levels as far as guns and ammunition goes, but if you can't be prepared for what the aftermath may be in those events, well, you're just kind of SOL. And so definitely pick up any medical supplies you can, and My Medic has a lot to offer, guys. So we really do appreciate you guys going through our affiliate programs. And as far as that goes, go check us out at AR-15 Podcast 2.0 on Instagram, AR-15 Podcast on Facebook and YouTube, AR-15 Podcast 2.0 at gmail.com. We really do appreciate the support and all the love we're getting with you guys through VZ Grips. I can't express enough how amazing that is that they are sold out of their AR grips right now, because you guys have been buying a crap ton of stuff from them.
Yep. And, well, I don't have anything else to say. Go out, get some training, guys. Ammunition's back to where it's affordable, or kind of affordable, and buy cheap and stack deep.
Yep, that's the rule of thumb right now.
And well, I have nothing else, and that's AR-15 Podcast 2.0 on YouTube. And make sure that you are going out and liking and subscribing to our various social medias. I know that we sometimes are not the best about posting things to the Instagrams and the Facebooks. You can find us most weeks here at 7 o'clock Central Time and streaming every day on the YouTube. Or on demand every day on the YouTube.
That's correct. So I guess with that, happy trails until we meet again, guys.
Yep. And once again, I'm still not going to do it. But you guys out there, stay safe and stay armed.